morning and happy Saturday, you guys. It is Amanda and Barron with Kickin'Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio, 104.3 FM and 1220 AM. Our sponsor for this first half is Odd Moe's Pizza, with the best pizza in town. They also have pastas now. So they have the garlic basil pesto, the traditional red sauce pesto.
While you read the menu, I'm going to eat some Odd Moe's.
Me too.
Okay, good.
So currently, right now, Mike blessed us with the Reggie Veggie, right? Is that what we've got?
Uh-huh. With some cheese on it, some chicken on it.
Oh my gosh, it's artichoke hearts, which I absolutely love.
I talk with my mouth full.
Fresh mushrooms, red onions, black olives, Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, fresh tomato, cheddar cheese, and green onion with their white garlic sauce.
And we have some chicken too.
Oh yes. What's the other one?
So it's called the Power Up?
Power Forward.
Powered Forward.
Okay, so that is a garlic combo with pepperoni, Italian sausage, fresh mushroom, mozzarella cheese, fresh tomato, cheddar cheese, green onion, and their garlic white sauce. And then, of course, you guys already know that I also have potato poppers on the side.
We got some poppers here, too. In fact, I think there's just one or two left there. I should give those to you.
Mine.
Yeah, those. Mine. Yeah. Mike told me that with this Power One, or the Power Up, Power Forward. Power Forward. Mike likes to add garlic, which gives it even a really strong taste. But garlic is one of your best cancer-fighting foods out there.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It also keeps all the vampires away, too, so you're in good shape.
Thank you again, Mike.
Yeah, well, Ashley's done a great job of adding pictures in the menu, and we just thought it'd be nice for those YouTube people out there to see us actually eating some Odd Moe's. Plus, it's lunchtime. Amanda's like, just keep talking, Brandon. I'm going to chew for a minute or two. Well, while you're chewing, last week's guest was Kate. And for those that have followed us for quite a while, I always like to stand over here. I kind of like to move around a lot. But we actually got a comment back from one of our listeners who is now following us on YouTube. So if you're not following us on YouTube, it's Kickin'Cancer Productions. And she's watching, and she goes, you're standing and Kate's sitting, and there's kind of this height difference. So I thought just because we're actually being filmed now,
right, I'm
sitting, which is a lot different than normal.
Yes, it is.
We're just for 2.5 years. I'm actually sitting now. But I got so much personal value out of Kate's with the how to get stress out of your body and the
ladder method.
Yeah,
because
your body should be at where you just feel safe. But then something happens and you go into hyper-arousal, which is kind of that fight or flight mode, which is actually important. You're getting cortisol and adrenaline, all these important, now maybe they're important, but they're chemicals we all get. And then we get out of our fight or flight, and then we move on. But sometimes we don't get out of fight or flight, and we drop one more level down, and it's hypo-arousal, where you're kind of stuck. But I love that she gave us some tips on how to get out of those situations.
Yes.
So 2 intriguing things happened. One, our amazing camera person, Ashlie.
I love you, Ashlie.
She sends me this message while she's editing, and she just had one of those kind of days, and she's like, everything that Kate is saying, I really needed to hear today. And then my son, who sends me a text in the morning, says, how do I listen to your show? He lives in Eastern Washington. So I said, just go to kslm.news, and he's listening, and he says, I needed to hear this message.
I love that.
So at least two people, heard Kate's message. But here's the third that heard the message. He lives in Las Cruz, New Mexico.
Okay.
He sends me an email and he says, I would be honored to be a guest on your show.
I love that.
He got malignant melanoma, which is that skin cancer, except he got it on his ear.
Oh.
And then it metastasized into his brain.
Oh, no.
14 years ago.
So he's alive.
He's alive.
And well.
Well, if he wasn't alive, he couldn't have sent me an email.
Right. Fair enough.
But
Thank you for calling me on that.
We had a great conversation on the phone. Like, is this guy legit? Who is this person? And we're going to have him on as a guest in July with just how he healed. Because you think about Terry that called in a few weeks ago from Colorado.
Yeah.
His went up his leg and they had to amputate his leg. Well, this guy's got it on his ear and it's going into his brain. and just his story is unreal. All of those people heard Kate's message and reached out in one way or another.
I love it.
Yeah.
It helped. What she said, it was a reminder of just how to calm down and do your ladder and get back up to your happy place and it's okay to feel your emotions, but don't get stuck.
Yeah.
Get back out and on top.
And I like that she gave us some really good breathing tips. Do you remember the breathing tips?
4, 7, 8.
So the 4, 7, 8.
Or 4, 4, 4.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One of them, she calls it a box method, and apparently the Navy SEALs use that.
I mean, that's probably the 4, 4, 4.
Yep. And that's
I actually applied it this week.
Me too.
Really?
And if you're in a really high stress situation, you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 7 seconds, you exhale for 8. Mm-hmm. And that really helps your nervous system calm back down again.
Right, come back to its core.
Yeah. So just, that's one of the things with cancer, the stress. How do you control that stress so that your cells do not become cancerous? And I just thought Kate brought a great message.
She did. She really did.
Well, our disease-fighting food today is one that many people use. Pizza. Oh. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make sure the camera can see this pizza. I think that they probably actually do use this.
I have to keep turning off my mic so that I could chew and eat.
At some point, I'll ask you a question so that I can chew and eat. Well, this is something a lot of people who cook use a lot. They probably just don't realize that this is an anti-cancer food. Extra virgin olive oil.
Oh, I use that all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what it says is that, back to pizza, extra virgin olive oil deserves its cult status as a long life food. It is full of anti-inflammatory antioxidants and may lower the risk of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's.
That's huge.
That's a lot of things.
Yes.
That one thing that you use to cook. Now, again, I have never made one of these pizzas. They're awfully good. But it's not uncommon to use extra virgin olive oil in your cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's our disease-fighting food for today. I'm going to put a little date on here and we'll move on. There we go. And once again, for the listeners, if you missed this, you can email Amanda at pizza.com.
Amanda at kslm.news.
And again, I want to remind people that we do have a YouTube channel. And if you go to the YouTube channel, Ashley's doing a good job putting this picture up there for you as well. So extra virgin olive oil. Mm-hmm. Well, my update for you is actually something that's happening today.
Okay.
Today is the second day of Cancer Awareness Weekend. And there's 2 games. So there's a game at 1 o'clock, and there's another game at 6.
Okay, you're busy.
Started on Friday, goes till Sunday. There's 4 games. And if you're a survivor out there and you hear this message, email tickets at mavsleague.com. You can get in for free.
Okay.
Last night, Rob Malakote drove all the way from Yakima, Washington to throw out her first pitch.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
With 40 of his friends.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
He was so excited to be back in the game again, right?
Yeah.
And we let him sit in the dugout with the Mavericks players the whole game. He was like in 7th heaven.
I bet.
Ah. and for those that missed that episode, Rob played for the Houston Astros years ago.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
But today at 1 o'clock, Robin from our board is throwing our first pitch.
Oh, that's cool. And she's with Pathways.
And she's with Pathways, and she's a breast cancer survivor.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really fun, Michael Brown throwing our first pitch.
Okay.
And in honor of Ozzy,
his sister's
going to run the bases, and his brother Hayden's going to throw out the pitch in honor of Ozzy.
Oh my gosh, I love how both of them are going to be a part of it.
We're going to get them all involved in remembering Ozzy at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, then tonight at the 6 o'clock game, Victoria Shin will throw out a first pitch along with Lisa Walker.
I love all of that.
So we're just going to get a lot of survivors back involved.
Absolutely.
So
that's
today. The other thing I want to do is I wanted to kind of pick up a story that I had to stop last week. Kate's message was just so good I kind of had to stop it. But his name is Jeff Morrison. And it was right after our golf tournament a couple of years ago. once again, I took this idea to Mike, like, hey, let's sponsor a golf tournament? And Mike was there for us at that first golf tournament. Was a lady who just didn't have a team to play with, so we partnered her up with a team that had 3. And a week afterwards, I get this message. Can we sit down and talk some more? Her husband, Jeff, had just been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He had turned 59 on August the 7th, 2021, and a few days later, he was having these stomach pains that just would not go away. Mm-hmm. So on August the 10th, 3 days after his 59th birthday, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
Dang it.
He fought for quite a while, but ultimately he did pass. And I still remember, towards the end there, he's in the hospital, and he only wanted to see a couple people, and I was one of them.
Oh, wow. So
I got to go in about a week before he passed away.
What an honor.
Yeah, I mean, he was really only letting family come in to see him, and he said, hey, I'd love to see you, and I came in, and he had lost a ton of weight, and, he was definitely there towards the end, but I got to talk to him for just a little bit, and then a few days later, he passed.
Well, I'm glad you got that opportunity.
Yeah. We want to do a little challenge.
Okay.
A little challenge to our listeners. I know there are a ton of you out there that have our shirts.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I know that is I went back and did a little research. At the end of the first year, we had 336 shirts somewhere.
Okay.
We had them in Alaska. We had them in New York. But at the end of the second year, we had 583 shirts.
Okay.
And at the end of the third year, we had 1,039 shirts.
Wow.
At the end of the fourth year, 1,734 shirts.
Yes.
At the end of the fifth year, 2,513 shirts.
Wow.
And at the end of last year, there were 2,874 shirts or hats somewhere in the world.
Okay.
So far this year, we've now passed that 3,000 mark.
That's awesome.
If you email a picture of you with that shirt to Amanda
at kslm.news.
We're going to get those pictures to Ashlie, and we're going to show you on future episodes. We want to see you. We want to know where you're at. There's only about 15 states right now. North Dakota doesn't have a shirt, right? There's only a handful of states that don't have a shirt, but there's a lot of you that do have a shirt or a hat. And we would love to see you, and we'd love to recognize you, and we're going to put your picture up on a future episode.
Absolutely. That's cool.
So help us grow.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, wait. I think we have a call coming in.
One second.
All right. So when you called in, it threw things off. So this is super exciting. We actually have a caller on our show. We're just a little bit into the show. Welcome to the Kickin'Cancer Care Show, Derrick.
Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you and I met in January, several months ago, at the Kroc Center during a health fair. Tell our listeners who you are and where you are calling from.
Sure. My name is Derrick Zebroski. I work at the OHSU Knight Cancer Institute, which is based in Portland, Oregon. I am part of our community outreach and engagement team. That is how I met you at the outreach event.
Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Yeah. And so for the listeners who are not familiar, which this kind of surprised me, there are a few people that do not know who Phil Knight is. He's at the OHSU Phil Knight. It's called the Knight, but it's the Phil Knight Institute. You may not know the name Phil Knight, but you might recognize the name Nike. And Phil Knight started the Nike Corporation years ago.
Yes, exactly. He has been a very influential individual in Oregon, and the Knight Cancer Institute, the division of OHSU where we work on cancer research and treatment, is named after Phil Knight, after he and his wife Penny initially made a $100 million donation to our institution in 2008. And then a few years later, 5 years later, in 2013, they issued a $500 million challenge to our institute where they would donate $500 million if we were able to match that in donations within 2 years, which we were able to do thanks to a wonderful philanthropic effort from individuals across the state. We actually got donations from all 50 states and multiple countries, including a $100 million donation from Gert Boyle of the Columbia Sportswear Company.
Wow.
So we are very, very grateful to those efforts to help get our research and treatment center off the ground.
As I speak, there is a grandfather, a mother, a child who hugs a loved one. Hugs a loved one he or she would not be able to hug if it were not for Brian Drucker. It is incumbent on everyone in this room to do what he can to keep the miracles coming. And I speak to myself as well as to all of the rest of you. Accordingly, I make the following pledge. Penny and I will donate $500 million to OHSU if it is matched in pledges within 2 years in a fundraising campaign. Is there a higher calling?
Yeah.
Well, and just some really quick math for the listeners. If you guys raised $500 million and Phil Knight donated $500 million, that's $1 billion. That's a lot of money to get your institute going. We've got some time here, Derrick. Can you tell us what's the mission of the OHSU Knight Cancer Institute? I'll say this correctly.
Yeah, we are really driven by a single mission, and that is to end cancer as we know it. And we are a team of hundreds of doctors, nurses, scientists, and other professionals who have earned a national reputation for excellence in this field. Every year, we treat roughly 6,000 patients and conduct about 1,400 research projects, including over 400 clinical trials.
Wow.
We have our sponsor is Oddmo's Pizza, and he donated some pizza, so you caught us in the middle of a bite there, Derrick.
That's impressive, though.
Awesome.
You said something
Happy
that
to
I
hear
find
that.
intriguing. When I started Kicking Cancer, which was 6 years ago, our vision is to significantly reduce, and your mission is to end cancer as we know it. That is a bold mission.
It very much is, but we are about bold action here, and we are striving to achieve excellence. And ending cancer as we know it may not necessarily mean the eradication of cancer, but we hope to end the concept of it as a potential life sentence for individuals. Our goal is to figure out methodologies where we can find cancer early and treat it when it is in its earliest stages. That way, we will have the highest likelihood of a positive outcome for the individual.
Well, I think that you have led into a great little discussion because we've got about 5 or 6 minutes still here. We've talked a lot about this on several episodes. The key to surviving cancer is to detect it early, and so screenings are really critical. You just kind of mentioned that a minute ago, and then things you can do on the prevention side. One of the things that we love about our partnership with Oddmo's, let me rephrase that. There's no direct financial partnership. It's a collaboration. Maybe it's a better word, collaboration. But there's a lot of unhealthy options out there, and our lives today just don't mean that we can cook for ourselves all the time. So if you're going to actually order food out, order some good healthy food.
Please.
And Mike has some good healthy food.
Oh, my gosh.
But on the screening side, Derrick, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you guys are doing there at the Knight Cancer Institute when it comes to screenings?
Sure. In my role specifically, I work in community outreach, and I talk to people all the time about cancer screening. And really, everybody's. Every things are different for everybody, but really, what we are trying to do is encourage people to recognize and stay within the FDA and American Cancer Society guidelines for screening recommendations. So, cervical cancer screening starting at age 25, breast cancer screening starting at between ages 40 and 49, colorectal cancer screening starting at age 45, which is just lowered from 50 down to 45, cervical cancer screening at age 40, and prostate cancer screening at age 45 as well. Some other things that we are working on here is, we have a couple different trials, research studies, and clinical trials that we're offering. And I think we can talk about the Healthy Organ Project, which is a very, very interesting study that we are doing, which it's not necessarily screening for an active cancer for you, but it is really a large-scale research study. There's over 14,000 people in Oregon that are involved in it right now, and it's somewhat similar to like a 23andMe study where you submit a saliva sample, and that is going to look for an inherited risk of cancer, because certain cancers are passed down through your genetics. You have an inherited risk for them. And what the Healthy Organ Project does is it looks at that genetic sample at the different biomarkers to see if you have that inherited risk.
It's interesting that you bring this up, Derrick. Every month, Kicking Cancer honors somebody locally that is going through cancer. Here in June, we're actually honoring Rob Malakote, who threw the first pitch out last night at a baseball game. Next month, we're going to honor a gentleman named Dan Farrington. Dan's pretty known here in the Salem area, but when he wrote his story out for me, he knew there was a possibility he would have prostate cancer. His father had prostate cancer. There's 5 brothers. 3 of those 5 brothers had gotten prostate cancer. His uncle had gotten prostate cancer. So one, he was vigilant about getting screened on a regular basis. He's actually now part of a small group that's being checked to see if there's a hereditary reason that so many of these brothers have.
Oh, wow.
And, dad and uncle, why so many of them have prostate cancer. But you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Derrick, but you just said that with a mouth swab, with an oral test, you can detect up to 30 different possible cancers?
Well, not exactly 30 different types of cancer, but they are looking at a genetic panel of, I believe, 32 genes to see and they look at your genetic panel to see if there are mutations within those genes that would indicate that you have a higher likelihood of getting those cancers through an inherited risk that is passed along in your genetics.
Okay.
Well, it would be nice to know that there's an inherited risk.
Yeah.
Because if there's a risk, then I can start making changes knowing there's a really good chance I could get it.
Be proactive.
Right.
Exactly.
There's another one that you do that's it's a blood test, and this was a clinical trial. Am I remembering correctly, Derrick?
Yes, absolutely. The Pathfinder 2 study, which we have been offering for over a year now, and honestly, full disclosure, we are actually wrapping up our recruitment for this, but I think it's worth discussing because this is kind of hopefully where the future of this type of early detection is going. And what that is a study where they take a single blood draw and they are looking for the genetic markers of existing cancer within that blood draw. And it is testing for over 50 different types of active cancers.
And if I remember right, the oral swab was something that is free.
Yes, the Healthy Organ Project. It is a research study. Anybody can request a kit. It is just healthyorganproject.com is the website that has a lot of resources on there, a very robust FAQ if you have questions about it. But you can go to that website and there is a QR code where you can download the app. And there's a couple surveys on there that are going to ask some kind of lifestyle questions or environmental questions. And then also through that app, you request a kit. And at no cost, they will ship a kit out to your house. It comes with a bottle of Scope mouthwash and a little test tube. And you mouthwash with the mouthwash, spit it into the test tube, mail it back to us. And within, in about 3 or 4 months, you will receive your results back. For the vast majority of participants, they just get a notification in the app that says you have no positive results. It doesn't look like you have any inherited risk. In the case that you do have a positive result or one of the genetic modifications that they are looking for, genetic mutations, I'm sorry, that they are looking for, what would happen then is that an OHSU genetic counselor will call you via phone and deliver those results. That way you can have a conversation with a certified genetic counselor that can really explain to you what those results mean and what you can do to best be proactive in the face of those results.
And I know for a fact that when I was at this event back in January, where you and I met in person, I took advantage of that, and it was really simple, right? You just get the kit, you do it, you set it in, and I got the note that there was nothing in my genetics for me to be worried about.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's just a really simple process. Well, I want to get a little bit more into some of the more things that you guys are doing, but we're running close on time. Derrick, so let's do we're going to do a really quick shout out to our sponsor, which we've been talking about as pizza the whole time anyway.
Yes. So we actually, Mike had from Oddmost Pizza brought us in 2 different pizzas and some potato poppers, and I've been munching this whole last 25 minutes.
Me too.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing with the fresh ingredients, very healthy. The Reggie Veggie we had, and we put some chicken on it. It is just phenomenal pizza. You guys, do yourself a favor and go get you some. They deliver if you don't want to leave your house. How convenient is that?
Right.
So thank you, Oddmost Pizza. You guys, if you weren't sponsoring us, we wouldn't be able to bring these messages to you. So we really, really appreciate you, Mike, and all that you do for our community.
And he's been sponsoring us for 2.5 years.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. He's sitting in the room right now.
His head's getting
Thanks,
a little
Mike.
big right now. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you so much. So,
all right, you guys, we will be right back in just a few moments after this commercial break. Stay tuned.